Bonjour à tous. La grande famille, c'est quoi? C'est une conversation où j'invite des personnes au grand cœur. Vous y retrouverez des femmes et des hommes de multiples nationalités qui ont un point commun, celui de partager un morceau de leur vie. Alors sans plus attendre, je laisse place au podcast de la grande famille.
Welcome, Henri. Nice to meet you. I'm so happy to be with you on the podcast La Grande Famille.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation. I'm also very happy to be here to come together with you again. It's been quite some time since we have seen each other for the last time, but I'm very happy to have this meeting with you.
Thank you. So, Henri, you're here to share with us your au pair experience in France. You are a young student from Germany, and you have decided 2 years ago now to live the au pair experience in Europe. And you spent 1 year in France as an au pair in my family, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
with two daughters, and I would be super happy to hear about what were your motivation to take this decision, and how old you were when you decided to do it.
So maybe I start from the beginning of my experience to elaborate on that. The first time I got into connection with Au Pair Butterfly was actually to a friend of mine. She was an au pair as well. She went to Biarritz, and when she came back, we had a talk, and I was right after my studies. I just finished high school and I graduated, and I didn't really know what I was about to do. I thought about going to study, but actually I wanted to go abroad and experience something different from my everyday life I had now for the last basically for all my life. And she told me that she was in France in Biarritz, and she did an au pair there, and it was super good experience for her. She was just so fascinated when she came back that I actually got kind of aroused by all the things she told me, that she went to the beach every day, and it sounded like too good to be true, kind of. And I think the same day I registered on the website for Au Pair Butterfly, and after a while, after uploading some photos, getting into doing all this formal stuff, I think I got an invitation from you to just set up all the goals, everything what I had in mind, what I expect from this experience, so that also Per Butterfly is maybe able to just find a perfect match for me. I remember I told you about all this, what I had in mind, and that I want to, in the best case scenario, I wanted to come somewhere to the beach. I didn't really had any preferences regarding the family situation. I was quite open. And I also told you that I had this connection with my friend, and she was in Biarritz. I remember you told me that you're also living in Biarritz, and your last au pair is about to leave in a few months, and you're also seeking for a new au pair. So from that moment on, we kind of had this connection, and there was this opportunity for me to come to Biarritz with and actually join your family. Then we had our first video call with all your family members involved. I remember it was a very strange beginning because my French was terrible back then. I think I could say maybe hello, I'm Henri, and that was about it. But still, there was kind of a connection also with your two daughters. It was, you just had a very funny and loving impression on me. I just stopped looking for other families to join, and also from your side, I think there was quite fast a response, and you said it will be okay for me to come to Biarritz. So this decision was made then. Then my overall au pair experience, it just started by yeah, it was crazy for me to think about going to another country for almost a year and live there with a family I've never met in my entire life. So all of this was kind of the beginning. Yeah, there I really got into the spirit and had to prepare my mind to live with you, also to not really speak the language and learn a lot of new things. So it was very exciting, but also maybe a little bit frightening at the same time.
And how old you were when you came in France to live this experience?
I remember the first day I came, yeah, to France. You picked me up, and everything was super new. We went to your house, and we had dinner. Tried to make small conversations, get to know each other a little bit better. It was a super friendly, welcoming experience I had there. And the first couple of days, it was everything was super new. I was living in a new house. I had my own room. I had to get used to the streets, to the area I was around, and also in France, there was nobody else I knew back then. So I didn't have any friends or families that I just could reach out to and see them maybe on the weekend. But this put me in a very new situation, which was also, I think every evening I went to bed at 8 and I was just so tired because of all the new impressions and the language. It was so much which came up there. And I think it was very overwhelming, but in a positive way. It wasn't not at all negative, but a very positive experience, which I had there. But still, with the language, I remember it was very hard for me to get used to it. It took some time, but I think also my process in learning in learning French, also with the children, they were only able to talk to me in French. So I was really put in this situation where I just had to learn it. There was no way around it. With that, it just also went so fast. I think I made very quickly a few processes and I evolved my language skills over time. So I'm really happy about that.
And you didn't tell me how old you were.
I think I was 20 when I came to France. Yeah, it was in November, and it's now almost 2 years ago. Or I think now it's actually 2 years ago. We're now in November. I was 20 back then. The year before, I finished my high school and had to work for a little bit, and that was the process I told you about, where I didn't really know what to do. So I was really in a strange situation, and also to see now where I came from, this way I went within the last years. I think actually now looking back at the last 2 years, I think the au pair experience really changed my way of living, also had a very big influence on who I am now and what I was able to do within the last years. So maybe to just reach out to that, I'm now studying in the Netherlands, also not in Germany. But the au pair experience itself, it really changed the way I see things, also the way I interact with new people and how I approach new and maybe also difficult situations.
It's very interesting what you say because it's our mission in Butterfly. It's to help people to grow by themselves and to discover themselves and the world by the experience that Butterfly propose. I'm convinced about that. It's what I get up every morning. It's my mission of life because I'm completely convinced that the au pair experience, it's a very very strong experience when you're au pair because you going far away in a new country in a new language to be separated from your friends, from your family. It's difficult, but it's the best experience to better know you by yourself and to understand what your feelings, your emotions, your what's important for you in the life, and what you are good at.
Yeah, I can only agree with what you said. All of these points, they are totally true for me. So yes, also maybe looking at the au pair experience as it is now, I think often it's referred to something which most of the time girls are doing. Also, when I came to France, I think you had a network established with different WhatsApp groups to get connected with everyone in your area and also benefit from the experiences other au pairs had in the past. I think really the vast majority of your au pairs, there were girls. But now that I've been an au pair myself, I think there's nothing in that which actually only applies for girls. Everyone can learn from it. And I hope that if you also have some boys listening to that, that I can only encourage them to actually apply when go through this process and become an au pair, because I made so many new connections during that time with people from France, with other au pairs. It took me some time, but now I have still a network in France that I can reach out to people I feel really connected with. Yeah, maybe to just say that quickly.
Okay, yes, it's interesting to know because we say au pair, it's a French word, and in French we say fille au pair. Priority for me also, it's that is not a gender experience, it's experience for everybody. But we have to recognize that most family prefer a girl to take care about their children than a boy, and that's a pity because there is so much to learn from both sex. And I am mom of two daughters, had 7 au pairs at home, but it was important for me that my daughters experience to live with a au pair boy and not only au pair girl, because in the life to live and to be able to grow and to have some relationship with boys and girls is it's very important from both sides. So that's why it was important for us, for our family, and with Stefan to host you and to live this experience. And I think that most people, more and more families are open for about that, but it's still not usual. But I'm positive about that, and I'm optimistic that most more boys than before could apply to be au pair. And it's very interesting to hear from you that there is no way and no sense that it's more adaptable for a girl than a boy.
Yeah. So also what you just mentioned, I mean, um, I myself, I have a younger brother, but I actually never lived with younger girls together, and I never been in that situation. So also with the girls I interacted back then, those were girls I know from school, so they were around my age. And for me, this was also super interesting how this is going to be to live together with two girls. I think also with them, I had such a good connection. It was just so nice with them. I remember the first day or one of the first days, we went to the beach and their grandparents were with them. Yeah, so they tried to play catch with me, and I didn't really know what they were trying to play. And they always said, like in French, "Oh, let's play! Come on, we do this." And I was not really sure about what they wanted. And I remember their grandfather, he tried also to explain me. So this is how this game works. And after we figured it out, it was so fun to had this first interaction with them. I think over the time we really had a strong bond together. We really spent a lot of time doing different activities, playing, cooking, also taking them from school, having those rides with them. Always had like conversations, see what's going on in their life, what is moving them, and really develop this kind of relationship to so incredible young girls. I think this was very amazing. So also to come back to this part where you said that it's quite uncommon still for boys to do this au pair experience. I think now that there's really a way that even as a boy you can have such a strong connection to girls or also boys. And I remember when I set up my profile, there were a lot of families reaching out to me who were looking for a boy coming to the family. Also, I think most of them had two boys or at least one boy themselves. So maybe also for children, it's interesting to have someone they could see as their older brother, maybe. Yeah, for me, I just can't repeat myself. That was really such an incredible experience.
For you, Henri, what was the objective when you decided to be au pair? Why did you want to do it?
I think for me, the main reason why I decided to work as an au pair was not that I wanted to live abroad and travel around, because I think that's not what it is about. You could also buy a van, travel around in Europe, see a lot of different spaces. There are also some other students I know that may travel and work. But I think what really is core of this au pair experience is that you actually get integrated into a family, and you really have also a place to be there. It's something you can settle on. This is just another way of experiencing the culture. When you sit together with your family the evening, you have dinner together, it's just something else, because this way I think you are really getting to know the culture, getting to know the people. And this really was for me the main objective. So, that you have a stable place, which is also very important for me as a person, that I want something to come back to and not have a changing environment every day. But this time it was really that you have one time where you get used to everything. And once you have your routines and you know how everything works, it's really, you get into a flow stage where also I think within the first weeks, I had my surfboard there. I remember with Stefan, we went to this surf shop and also with the girls. It's just, you have so many things you can explore there. So this was for me the main objective.
So yes, what you say, it's important for you in that experience to have to live the habits of a new country, a new culture, and a new family.
Yeah, these parts, maybe to give a specific example, I think when I met also your parents back then, I remember them giving me a kiss on the cheeks. So that's something you would never do in Germany. So there is no way that someone you don't know and have never met before, you would give them like a handshake or just wave at them. And it was just so friendly. They were hugging me. I had like a kiss, and they were so warm and welcoming to say, okay, we embrace that you are here. We are so grateful to have you with us. Um, this is just another part, and you immediately see them as not some random people you met. It's really a connection which was there from the first moment. Also, when you have language barriers which are maybe hard to overcome, you really work on that to get to know each other, get a better impression about you, about themselves. So this is really what made up the connection for me.
The friendly and welcoming aspects. What do you think that you learn from that experience, and which help you to make your decision, that make you some competencies in the experience you have had after?
I think I benefit from this experience in many different ways. First of all, I think I became more conscious about myself, about my capabilities. When you never have been in such a situation where you lived abroad in another country, you might even not know that this is something you could actually be grateful for. And for me, I just noticed, and I now also know about myself, that this is something I really, really embrace, getting into new cultures. I think also without that, I might have stayed in Germany also for my studies. Now I'm doing international business in the Netherlands. There I made so many new connections as well. I learned how to interact with different people also in an international environment. It's really about adapting to different parts of culture. This is also something which changed myself. I became really more confident about myself, also to speak a new language. This is also something which I am now really grateful for. And now that I've lived in France, I maybe to just reach out to that, I'm now doing my upcoming internship, which is going to start next year in March. I'm going to do that in Canada, and I had two different opportunities. One of which being going to Vancouver, and the other one was going to Montreal, which is a city in Canada where they also speak French. At first, I was kind of scared also about that. Okay, how is this going to be? I have lived this life, but with a family in a different environment. And now I'm going to work in a company. So this is really a business environment, and also maybe a different type of French they speak there. But yeah, I think also they're really welcoming and try to embrace this connection with international students. This would be something I would probably not have done if I wouldn't have been to France, and also, yeah, lived this experience as an au pair.
It's very strong.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And what was the opinion of your parents when you make the decision to travel? Because you've had 21 years old. What did they think about?
I think for both my parents, it was kind of clear that I wanted to do something else, and I first wanted to move also somewhere else. It wasn't clear whether it was in Germany, but also then I would, yeah, prefer to go into another big city, which also could have been a way for, let's say, Munich. I'm living in the north of Germany, so there would still be a very long distance separating us. But my parents, they were always trying to help me with. They were also, when I told them to go to France, they were really happy for me. And also that I found such a nice family. Obviously, we also stayed connection during that time and had a lot of exchange. But my parents, they were super supportive and also super interested in what I was going to do and how I was going to feel about all of this. So for them, I think also they see it now as a really positive experience. And when I came back, I remember them telling me that I have grown so much internally. So they told me that I've become so mature, and I really went beyond my past borders, maybe. And this is also something I could say for myself is totally true.
All right, thank you. It's a lot of emotion to listen to that because it's something you can waste a lot of money to live something, but it's some you could never know if it would running or not. And for me, it's priceless to grow internally and to have to be more confident with ourselves.
Definitely. That's nothing you can buy with money. This experience is something you have to go through, and no matter how much money you make or have for yourself, if you're not there to overcome your borders and you not try to reach for other experience which expand your horizon, then you can't grow this way. And for me, it was 100% true that this experience, yeah, broadened my horizon. but also what you mentioned, that you have to be sure about that you want to do this, because you can spend a lot of money. That's so a lot of effort you put into that. You have to travel to another country, bring everything you want to have with you for at least 6 months, I think. You have to bring to that place, and you have to also be okay with the fact that you're not going to see your environment of friends and family for such a long time. So with that said, I think for everyone who wants to become an au pair, they just have to be super sure about the experience, because when they are not, also for the family, I think it can be difficult to have someone who's always in doubt with themselves, because maybe friends or family have told them to do this, but for themselves, this is not totally true. Yeah, looking at that, I think for everyone who wants to do this, they have to be sure about this, and they have to be convinced that this is going to be the right thing for them to do. And for me, this was totally the case. So for me, there is no regrets that I can now address.
Yes, what I will remember is that it's important to be clear about the objective to be au pair, and to stay focused why you want to live this experience. Because live it better when you're clear with that. Would you have some more advice for people that are listening to us, Henri?
Yeah, one advice that I could give is, for me, I think when I've been to France, and the first, let's say, 3 months, it was really a tough time also for me to go through, because I don't want to say that you don't miss your friends, that you don't miss your family. That's something you do, that's totally natural. Also, you have to deal with that. And there's nothing really that can compensate for this. Then also the language barrier, which comes. So when you think that you cannot express yourself in the way you want to, and there are things you want to say, but you don't know, or you don't really know how to bring them across. So that's something which can be really, really challenging. And also for me, there were some days where I was maybe just overwhelmed by this experience, because it influenced and changed my life in a way that I have never experienced before. So maybe also for future au pairs, that they have to know this in advance, and they have to be okay with it, because it's not something bad. It's something which you go through, but this is a process which also helps to develop yourself, to see, okay, you can go through this. It's okay. There's nothing bad in that. After 3 months, I think I would really say it was 3 months, where this was the time it took me to really get used to everything, also the language. I think after 3 months, I was more or less fluent, and I could have a conversation with you, also with the girls. I know what they wanted to say, and I could also properly answer them. And yeah, maybe this process, you have to be aware of it. But I'm not going to say that the first 3 months, they were not positive for me. That's not at all what I meant. It's just that this initial period is really a different time I went through, where there were some challenging times, but I was able to just deal with them and embrace them, and always keep in mind what also you just said, that you have to remember your main objective, why you wanted to become an au pair. What is this experience giving you? This maybe as just an advice.
And in what you say, is that to be aware that it's a very challenging experience, because it's strong about the internal way that we do in terms of self-development. And one of the steps is the change, and to go outside of our, we say, comfort zone. And for you, it lasts 3 months, the first 3 months, which were challenging, because you were the challenge of the language, to be understable, and to understand what we tell you, the challenge of the new regulation and new organization and timetable, and the challenge to localize, and to be able also find your ways and to make new friends and to know where to go out and to build your new life finally.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Maybe to just come back to what you just said, you said it's also a big part to go outside your comfort zone, and this is 100% true for me. I remember also connecting with other au pairs, and they really had kind of a bubble where they were connected with other au pairs, and they had this international connection, and I think that's also something super positive. But for me, I wanted to also make local friends who lived in France, and it's kind of hard to establish such a connection. So with other au pairs, I remember they had and to grow also a local network. And I think you told me one evening, okay, you should go out to Bayonne. This was the next biggest city. They had like a very fancy nightlife scene there. And you told me that this would be a good place to meet other people and to make connections. And I thought, okay, yeah, I'm just gonna go there. It was also this moment where I stepped outside my comfort zone. But yeah, then I arrived in Bayonne, and it was also Bayonne and Biarritz. You have to imagine those cities. They're super beautiful. They're super close to the sea, and you get this spirit where everybody is just free and is kind of living their life. And I think it was kind of late in the year, but still everybody was sitting outside having wine, super nice conversations. And I thought, oh my God, I want to be part of this. This was so incredible. And then I went into like a bar. I went there by myself. That's something I never did before, to just go out by myself. Normally, I always have my friends with me, and you stay with your friends and then you go home with your friends. That was how it went normally for me. But this evening, I didn't know anybody, and I saw like a group of people there just having a good time. And I thought, okay, I'm now gonna do it. I'm now gonna approach them and ask them, yeah, I could join them as a group. And the first group I reached out to, they said, "Oh, our English is not so good, and as you're not speaking French by now, I think it's hard to have this connection." But then this was like really hard for me to get this rejection. But I then reached out to another group, and they were so happy that I approached them. And I remember all of them, they were not super fluent in English, but one of them, there was one guy, Thomas was his name. He was kind of the translator. So he was really working there to figure everything out with me. And after spending like 1 or 2 hours in this bar, having a couple of drinks together, I remember we went to a nightclub, which was a couple of minutes away. And we were this group of maybe 4 or 5 boys and girls. And this group actually, till now, I have such a connection with all of them. And it really, we exchanged our numbers. And I think like the week after we met again. And after maybe 2 or 3 weeks, my French actually became better than Thomas English. So from that moment on, you only talk in French. And there were the situation where I was with 2 girls of this group, and Thomas went away, and they weren't really able to speak English. So we really had to, yeah, I had to speak French with them, and you're really put into the situation where you're outside your comfort zone. But that's something I'm so grateful for that I did it, because you really have to be bold to go out there to just talk to people you don't know in a different language. But for me, this was one of the best decisions I made that evening.
Great, thank you for to share that with us. We are going to the end of our interview. Is there any advice, any message you would like to give us?
Maybe for all people who are listening to that are also thinking about becoming an au pair, I can only embrace them to actually think about that really clearly, really imagine how this is going to be, and also think about the process that you are going to go through when you are looking at self-development. I think this is something which changed me in such a way that I now am only grateful for that I did it. I can give that to all the people who are listening to this, and also with all the other au pairs I talked to and I got to know during that time. I think they also had a very positive experience.
Okay. Thank you very, very much, Henri.
Yeah, thank you for having me here. I'm super happy to see you again, and hopefully this was helpful.
Yes, it was a pleasure. C'est la fin de cet épisode. Je vous remercie pour votre écoute. Comme à chaque fois, j'ai pris un réel plaisir à mieux connaître notre invité. Et si vous aussi, vous aimez la grande famille, je vous invite à le partager sur les réseaux sociaux et à en parler autour de vous. Et surtout, je vous serai extrêmement reconnaissante de prendre 2 minutes pour mettre un avis 5 étoiles sur la plateforme d'écoute de votre choix. Je vous dis à très bientôt.